you need to make sure that your team is happy, that things are running efficiently, that they're getting the things done on time, that they're feeling good about the work, that they've got clarity within what they're doing.
Welcome back to Duo On Air. I'm Abby.
And I'm Courtney.
And we're the ex-agency turned entrepreneurial team that puts the Duo in Duo Collective. Our boutique organic marketing agency specializes in SEO, social media strategy, and branding.
We're an everyday pair of business besties / marketing experts obsessed with helping our community learn more about what it takes to run a business.
Which is why on Duo On Air, we're not holding anything back. We're giving you all the info we know about how to grow your business organically so you can be the confident CEO you were made to be.
And how to navigate life as a small business owner.
Whether it's on your own or with your best friend by your side, so grab your coffee
or your mimosa, we don't judge,
and settle in for a quick value-packed episode of Marketing Tips.
Welcome back to the Duo On Air podcast. This is episode number 173, and today we're diving into a topic that might feel equal parts exciting and terrifying. Your first hire. This was both exciting and terrifying for Abby and I, and we've been kind of in a unique situation, I want to say, because we wouldn't say our first hire is recent. Like our first part-time, full-time hire, those have been recent, but we've hired, we hired years ago, right when we first started. She was kind of like just an intern. We just kind of had her helping out with
marketing
things.
assistant,
intern, that we just didn't have time for, or we needed to delegate and get off of our plates. And that was literally, was it within the first year of our business? Maybe second?
Yeah, probably a little bit in. And I feel like this is something too where maybe you've been in this role where you're like, maybe I've kind of hired, like I've used contractors or I've hired other people to work on like, a 6-month basis or things like that. And like all of that we're going to cover in here, like contractors, part-times, like all of that kind of stuff.
We're going to cover all kinds of hires.
Yeah, but this is like your first intentional hire. Like you are hiring for your team, not short term, so to speak, but like you want to grow your team. And that's what this is all about.
And you need help. Like you can't continue. You are maxed out. You need help to grow your business, to move forward. So that's more what this episode is about. But there are so many different ways to hire and so many different kinds of hires. And again, we're going to touch on that a little bit too.
And know that we were definitely in the scared camp. Like we were in the scared, terrified. I would lose sleep over it.
Pooping
I was like, just like so stressed about hiring someone, because when you hire someone, you need to make sure you can pay them. You need to make sure you pay them.
You are liable.
Before you, honestly, like a lot of times. And that is scary. It's a big responsibility. And now that we've done it, I can reassure you that we love it. We are, I don't know why we didn't do it sooner.
It is one of those things where you kind of kick yourself and you're like, well, that was dumb. We should have done that years ago.
Yeah. So if you're scared to make a hire, then this episode is for you, because we are going to break it down and make you just so excited to hire someone.
I love your enthusiasm.
I'm excited for you.
This is so great. Okay, so whether it's a contractor, part-time employee, something in between, don't worry, we're going to explain all the differences. Bringing someone onto your team is a big move. So first, the question is, are you ready to hire? So here are a few things. Don't hire too soon. Is this a one-time project or an ongoing need? This is a question that you need to ask yourself. Another one, are you completely underwater? Do you have time to onboard them the right way and right now? And then what kind of a season are you in? Because you need to make sure that if you're hiring somebody, that you can get them onboarded the correct way, because we can promise you if it's not done right, it most likely will not work out. We are an example of this. We have been there, and it is painful. And what can you afford? So salary versus hourly. What are those industry averages that you should be paying? And can you afford or exceed that? So before even getting too far into this episode, we want you to tune into episode 169, where we talk about a whole lot of ways that you can be ready to delegate and hire somebody. So if you can't delegate in the first place, you can't hire someone, because you need to be able to have that delegation? Is delegation a word?
Delegation, yeah, I think so.
You need to be able to put that delegation hat on, because if you can't delegate, you can't hire, because that is a huge part of hiring. And it, again, can be a pain point. And Abby and I, sometimes letting go of things is harder than it should be, because this is your baby, right? Like there's been things in our business where it's been hard for me to delegate, but after I've delegated them, again, you go back to that, oh my God, why didn't I do this sooner? And you will feel so relieved, and you'll be able to grow in your business ways that you didn't even think that you could.
Yeah. So, and a big, big piece of that is that you need to trust the person that you're about to hire. If you don't trust them, you're not going to be able to delegate. So we're not going to spend a ton of time in this episode talking about interview processes or how to find the right person. We're talking more about preparing yourself for understanding more around that first hire, but maybe that will be an episode in the future.
Oh, we could build on this one for sure.
Yes, absolutely. So stay tuned. So let's talk about what to do before you hire. And keyword before you hire, you need to build a process. You aren't building a process after you hire someone. You need to have that process in place. So don't hire someone to actually build your systems, because you know your business, you know your systems. So I'm not talking about this like hiring someone to like jump into your Dubsado or your Honeybook or Notion or something different. Like that. That's different. Like that's someone helping to create your systems inside a tool because they're the expert on that tool.
Yes.
We're talking about your SOPs, like your operations. How does your business run efficiently? You can absolutely have someone help you with the strategy side of that, but you know your business, you know how it needs to work. And if you have someone else come into your business fresh that doesn't know it, they're going to have a really hard time building out that process. So you need something in place first. And it's not going to be fair or strategic to expect your new hire just to figure it out. That's not realistic. So here's a quick example for you. Right before we hired our web designer, Laura, we have done websites in the past, but nothing about the process in the past ever felt right. It felt clunky. It felt drawn out. It felt just like something just didn't feel right.
It was hard, and we didn't have a detailed SOP at the time. We kind of just thought we could jump in and wing it.
Yeah. And it just didn't feel good. So we actually got burnt out of them. We quit them. We said we're not doing them anymore.
We quit them almost a year to date.
Yeah, that's crazy.
As we're talking right now.
We did, yeah. And a year later, we're pumped to have them back. And our mindset has just shifted dramatically on this. And we really focused on this part of what we're talking about. We focused on building a process first, and then we hired the person that we thought best would help us with that process. So we created a detailed SOP, which is basically just a Word document that details out everything that we do, literally every step of the web design process.
Every step.
Even
if it's the smallest of steps.
Send an email, create an Asana board, like whatever it is, send a Starbucks gift card. Like literally there's a task for every tiny detail, internal review, client review, any deadline, any email. We have it highlighted for emails. We have it highlighted for client feedback, different things like that to help us organize our thoughts. So we created this SOP, and then what we did after we did that is we highlighted every part of the SOP that needed an email template. And then we opened a new Word doc, and we created email templates. We created an email template for every step of the process to make sure that there was a clear deliverable of what we're giving the client. There was clear expectations of what's happening next and what feedback we need from them. And that is all linked all together, integrated together. And then we also took that SOP and then built a project management template in Asana. So now in Asana, which is our project management tool, we have a website process that has every person assigned to the proper tasks that takes out everything from the SOP. All of these are integrated together, and all of them really started with that detailed SOP. And if you don't know where to start by asking ChatGPT. Like just word vomit your process of what you think, or next time you're going through the process, write down everything you're doing. Like if you are creating a drive folder in Google Drive, that's part of the process. If you're all of a sudden having to, format a Canva document, that's part of the process. Like there's small little things to do. And when you detail all of this out in the SOP, it can be really easy now to be like, Now, what do I have to do? And now what does my employee have to do or my contractor have to do? Who's responsible for what? And that really takes a lot off of your plate too. So this is what we did prior to even hiring Laura. And then that's what our onboarding process basically entailed. We went through all of that together.
Actually made the onboarding process a breeze. It was pretty simple. Onboarding sounds like a lot of work, right? It sounds like weeks of trying to get somebody on your team up and starting. But by doing this upfront work before we even hired her, set us up for success and made it so very clear on like what the steps look like, who owned what, had all of these tools in place already for her to kind of just pick up and use. And obviously there's going to be things that she's learning just about our team and our brand and everything along the way. But having all of this set up and detailed has been so slick and so easy. And like we have signed so many website projects and they've all been going so flawless. And
literally there's been no feedback.
There's been zero feedback. We've had such happy clients and
knock on wood.
It has been so great. So this is a lot of work up front, but if you do the work up front prior to hiring, your onboarding and everything just falls into place so much more smoothly.
Yeah.
When you have all of this done.
Yeah. Seriously. So smoothly. Like, and it's also reassuring. It's like, heck yes. Like all that work actually amounted to a really good process that not only is making our clients happy, but it's making our team happy.
All that work is working.
Yeah. Our team is happy. They're excited to have a process. And now the hardest part is keeping everyone on track.
Yeah, that is literally the hardest part. So the next thing we're going to talk about is clarifying the role and setting expectations. So some of these are in our role and interview process as an expectation for what it looks like to work with us. But then others are asked in a kickoff questionnaire to learn about our team's working styles, how we can best work together, how we can be collaborative as a team. But then other things that you have to consider. So the first one here is define what success looks like for you and for them, not just for you. So you have to make sure that success for them is defined and what that looks like, and the same for your business. Because if you're just hiring somebody selfishly to push your business forward and you're not thinking about what they're getting out of it or what success looks like for them, then it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. We were talking before this episode about how our team is like our baby and we want to make sure that they're taken care of and that they're happy and that they're excited and that the process is seamless and everything's efficient, because they're our team. They're our baby. We kind of feel like,
probably too much. Like, are you okay? Are you having a good time?
We're like mother hens over here. And because we want them to be happy with working with us. We want them to stay on the team. We want them to let us know what success looks like for them. So it's not just for you and your business, it's your team as well.
Yeah. And it's not just if you're a client service business too, or even like if you sell products to customers, it's also not just about that end person, but it's about your business. What does success look like for your business, not just the people you serve?
The next one, how many hours? Like how many hours do you need them for? Or do you anticipate them needing to work weekly or monthly or whatever that might look like? And then what tools will they need access to? So Voxer, do they need an email set up? Will they be talking to clients? Do they need to be in your Instagram because they're helping out with social? Whatever it might be, you need to make sure that they have all of those tools ready for them and accessible to them, and knowing too how much work that you're going to be giving them, again, going back to that delegation, and how many hours they should be putting within your business. And again, checking in, week after week right away, month after month, and just kind of getting into that rhythm. And then the last thing is communication tools. So are they going to be communicating with you via Slack, Notion, Voxer, email, more than one of those? What works best for you and the team so that you guys can keep that communication fluid? It's easy for them to communicate with you. We use Voxer. We love Voxer. Our husbands hate Voxer, but we love Voxer, and it's really an easy way for our team to check in on each other. And we have different Voxer channels. We have one that's like the website team. We have one that's just Abby and I. We have, Heidi and I have one to talk about projects. We have one with Heidi, Abby, and I to talk about the overall project. So it's really nice to kind of break those into channels too. So you have different channels that you can go and chat with the team versus just constantly sending emails.
Yeah, bombarding everyone. So let's back up and talk a little bit about the type of hire that you are going to make. This is something where these that Court just went through, like how many hours are you going to work? What communication platforms are you going to use? Project management tools. You can dictate those only if you have an employee. If you have a contractor, you lose a little bit of that specificity, so to speak.
Ooh, I would have stumbled on that word. Good job.
I'm so proud of myself. Okay, so let's talk about this. So it feels like it's one of these things that feels kind of small, like, okay, am I just checking a box of like, you're a contractor, you're an employee? But it's actually a really big deal. And it's a big deal for legal reasons because the IRS is going to come after you. Not really, but they're like, they will come after you. I'm just not trying to scare you.
Yeah, they're not going to like knock at your door tomorrow, but
yeah, right. But it is a big deal because I am not a lawyer. I am not I am just someone who's heard this advice from my accountant and from my bookkeeper and from our lawyer. Like, we've heard these things before. If you have a hire that's a contractor and they should be an employee for the length of time that they've been working with you, if the IRS deems that, okay, they should have been a contractor or they should have been an employee, not a contractor, you have to back pay all of those payroll taxes.
Which that could be hard.
Yeah, that's hard. And that's no benefit to you. Like, that bucket of money just goes straight to the government and you don't get any tax breaks or cuts or anything. It's basically a penalty. So that's something that you don't want to experience. So let's talk about the differences and break this down. So contractors are typically hired for a specific project or a set number of hours. They're independent, which means that they are going to manage their own schedules, they're going to pay their own taxes, and you are not legally supposed to treat them like an employee. So that's really important, is that if you have a contractor, you have a role in place. Even if it's a VA, it's like, we're going to work together for 6 months at a time. You have a contract that specifically states that role of, we're working together for 6 months and then we can re-up that contract. Mm-hmm. That's what helps make that person a contractor. They're working with you for a set number of hours, and that's how it's working.
And you can't tell them when to work those hours. You can't tell them that they can't take a vacation. That's all under them. Like, they say that we can't dictate that.
So if you're hiring a blog writer, if you're hiring a social media manager, Pinterest manager, a web designer, like anything like that, typically those processes are all going to be contractors because they have their own business. They're going to bill you through their own business, and that's going to be deemed as a contract hire. So let's talk about employees. For some reason, this feels scary. It feels scary to hire an employee.
It does. It feels scarier than a contractor.
Yes, it does. And so that's why so many people push it off. And we have pretty much converted all of our contracts over to employees.
Mm-hmm. It feels more permanent. And that's the scary thing, because once a contract's up, you don't have to re-sign that contract if you don't want to. But an employee, it's not just a 6-month thing. It's usually more long-term.
You want it to be long-term.
Yes.
So employees are going to be on your payroll. So you control the aspect of how they work within your company. So you control when, how, and where they work. You are responsible for their taxes. You're also responsible for benefits if that's applicable, in any labor law and compliances. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more, not in crazy detail, because again, I am not a lawyer, but we will share with you some things that we have learned by hiring people as employees all across the country. So we've done both. We have contractors, we have employees, and there really isn't a wrong path, but it truly is asking yourself, what type of hire makes sense for them? Am I going to dictate how they work, or are they going to dictate how they work? And if you're going to dictate the process, if you want to have more oversight into how they work and what they work in and what tools they are, then they're likely going to be an employee. And I think the really scary part of this is that implication of you're paying taxes. Mm-hmm. And we can reassure you that if you are hiring an employee, it's likely not going to be that much in taxes. Like, the amounts are minimal, I'd say, because it's coming out every paycheck versus, one big lump sum at the end. So that's something to keep in mind too. And if you're already set up with a profit first mindset, we haven't had to change any of our ratios when it comes to what we're saving for taxes to cover our employees' taxes as well. So that's been really reassuring, is just to know like, okay, we can just juggle around our profit first ratios so that we can better understand how much we're supposed to be putting away to pay our employees' taxes, our taxes, along with their salaries and all of the other expense buckets that kind of go along with it.
Mm-hmm. So some questions that you want to ask yourself when it comes to, am I going to be should I hire a contractor or should I hire an employer, are these. First one, do I need this person ongoing or just for a project? If you need somebody just for a project, you're going to most likely hire a contractor. But if you need somebody ongoing in your business, day in, day out, month after month, year after year, that's most likely going to be an employee. That's going to be easier for you. It's going to probably save you money, time, energy, because they're going to be a part of your daily process. So ongoing or for just a project.
Or it's maybe a season you're in. Like maybe you're coming up on a maternity leave and you need to bring someone in to help you manage that. That's something where, say you get to the end of that, they're an amazing human and now you want to transfer them to an employee.
Yes.
That's okay. Like you can start as a contractor and then transfer them to an employee. We've done that with 3 people on our team. We've transferred from contractor to employees.
Yes.
So it's not very hard.
And we love it.
Yeah.
Second question, do I want to train them and have them follow a structured schedule, or am I okay giving up some sense of control, so a contractor, or do I need somebody fully integrated, again, an employee? So these are very important questions to ask yourself when it comes to the type of work, the amount of work, and what you can give up. Like, can I give up some control and hire a contractor and be okay with that? Or do I need somebody that really is fully integrated within my team, within my systems, within my business? Then you're going to be looking at an employee. So like Abby has said, and like we've talked about a little bit, hiring employees feels really, really scary. And it doesn't have to be. It really doesn't. And like, again, we were terrified of it. And it is one of the best things that we've done for our business and our brand to date, because everyone on our team is now an employee of Duo, like Abby just said, and it is so much more efficient and fluid, and they're starting to really get to know the brand, the business, the clients. It's allowing Abby and I to really step into our CEO roles, roles, and really kind of like take our business back, because we were doing so much of the day-to-day like minute things that we shouldn't have been doing, and putting so much into like little client things that we didn't necessarily have to touch, where we could actually have team members help us with stuff like that. So we could really focus on the bigger things, the strategy, our actual business. How do we grow? How do we move forward? What are our goals? So hiring those employees was really key for us. And it's actually our preference over contractors.
Yeah. And let's talk a little bit about some things that we've learned from hiring the people on our team. So we're going to share some behind the scenes of what
Learn
it
from
goes
some
into.
of our mistakes.
Yeah, right. And not necessarily mistakes as much as like we've never done this before. So sometimes it's just new. It's new territory. Yeah. So the biggest thing that has helped us feel this confidence of being able to shift from contractor to employees has been leveraging Gusto as our payroll system. I was anti-payroll for a very, very long time. For a very long time, when it was just Court and I and maybe a few contractors here and there, I just transferred money from our bank to our like I had a task on my Asana board to go in and transfer money to our personal bank accounts to pay us every month. And that's what I did. Because I refused to pay an additional $80 a month or whatever it was for payroll system.
And it probably made sense when it was just us two and a few contractors here or there. But once we grew a team, that no longer you can't do it.
And it was also something where we had some conversations a while back about like, okay, how are we going to save for retirement? And we had met with different financial advisors and different things. And basically, unless you had a payroll system, it was really tricky to be able to have this like consistent opportunity to save for any future retirement or IRAs or anything like that. So that was always like, okay, well, I guess we'll do that later. So we finally decided when we switched over to being in S Corp, we finally decided that, hey, we're going to set up the payroll system. One, because I was like, it was just an additional task. Like it took me, 30 minutes, maybe an hour to like move everything around in the bank accounts, and you can only transfer so much money. Like, credit unions have their own little blocks on things. So it was just one of those things that it was just taking up too much time. And at the end of the day, it's hard to remember, okay, what's my hourly rate if I'm working with a client, and is this going to cost more than that? No, it's not. So like, what am I doing?
Right. You have to ask yourself those questions.
This is a delegate to a tool kind of situation.
Yes.
So we invested in Gusto, and we started using that strictly for Court and I and contractors. So we'd set contractors up in there and make sure, the nice thing is it tracks all their 1099s. It pulls all of that information in there so that we don't have to worry about that. And that was something we were paying our accountant to do manually before. So it actually is saving us a little bit of money because it's all being done by the system. So we leverage the system, and then hiring an employee, the Gusto actually just walks you through the whole process. Here's what you need. Here's an offer letter. It has a bunch of templates in there. It made the process really seamless. Some of the things that we've learned is that we have a couple employees that are out of state. We have someone in Illinois and someone in Maryland. Every single state has their own laws and their own labor requirements. So that has been really fun. I also was not aware at the time that you need to set up your own business tax account in every state. This is something that I was like, oh, Gusto just does it all for you. That's amazing. I love that. But then you have to actually go like call the state, get your number, enter it into the Gusto system, then you're done. So we definitely have paid it was like $20, but I definitely have paid a fine in Illinois because I did not do that, because I did not know.
Abby, over here breaking other state laws.
Yeah, I know. So I'm like, great, lovely. But the nice thing is that at least you get notifications in Gusto telling you like, hey, you still have this form to fill out. I currently have one, like I'm still getting yelled at by Maryland. So, there's just like some fun things happening. But
it's going to be on the one as opposed to
I know, right?
Illinois and Maryland.
Hopefully no one from the Maryland government listens to this podcast. But anyway, so Maryland was another fun one where I learned that all employees have to have the option, or they have to be offered a retirement plan.
Mm-hmm.
News to me. So I was like, okay, so now we need to offer our employees retirement plans.
But that wasn't the case in Illinois. So
no,
it's different.
And not the case in Minnesota.
Yes, different from state to state.
So we have 3 states that we have to pay taxes to, because you pay taxes on your employees' behalf to those states. So Minnesota, where 3 of us are.
Listeners.
I know, right?
They're like, nope.
Goodbye. Minnesota is one of those states. Illinois is another one. Maryland's another one. So it's been very interesting. But the nice thing about this is I'm not searching for this information. I'm not going out there being like, what do I have to do for Maryland? Because those government websites, let me tell you, they're painful. Like they need some help. Like navigation, user experience, it's not working.
No,
like
all
it's
of them
confusing.
are awful.
So the nice thing is Gusto does all that for you. So it tells you what you need to do to be compliant, and I rely on that. And I, again, if our bookkeeper is listening to this, she's going to giggle. I was so anti-paying for the next level of Gusto too. Gusto, if you have people out of state, you have to pay for the next tier. And I was like, I just have one person out of state. Why do I have to pay at the time when we first went up? And it was one of those things where I didn't know. Illinois actually has like kind of crazy like compliance laws and stuff like that. And I had no idea. And this tool is responsible for doing all that work for you. So essentially, we ended up, it was like $100 more a month. It wasn't even like a minimal amount. It was something that I was like, I don't want to do this, Gusto. And I fought it.
If you want to know anything about Abby, she is very against going up to the next level if you can absolutely skirt by with the first level or the free level. This is why
I wear the CFO hat in our business. I am very much like, why are we paying for this tool?
Yes,
what level do we need to be at? And there's got to be one person in your business like that.
Yeah. And then if I want to go to a next level, I'm like, Abby?
She's scared to ask. And then sometimes I'm like, meh, yeah, spend it. Let's go to Costa Rica. There's like really, really vast differences in how I feel. I swing. So, and I definitely like pushed back on the Gusto thing. I tried to talk to people. I was like, come on, like, you're a small business trying to support other small businesses. Like, it was just something that I was trying to fight and ultimately lost. And we are on the plan we need to be on. We didn't get any like sugar coating of it, which sometimes you can. Like, sometimes people do.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you never know until you ask. So I will always ask, but that was definitely something that we learned. So just know that it is very, very great to be in a digital world and be able to work with people all over the country. And I can't imagine what it's like to hire someone out of the country. So like, I have not done that yet, nor do
That's
I
a whole
plan to. Because,
can of
it's
worms.
wild. But know that there are implications of hiring people across state lines. So learn from us. I'm not telling you that you shouldn't, because I freaking adore our team.
Oh, our team is the best.
Like, I'm so glad that we're doing this. So hire the right person, but just know there are some cost implications, and you do need a system like Gusto to help you. And then another thing too is that there is going to be additional paperwork. Like, just so you know, you're going to have to deal with all these different government agencies. Like, you're going to have to make sure that all of things are set up correctly, that you have the right IDs. Like, there are plenty of times where I actually just have to call the government because I'm like, I don't really understand, like, if I'm doing everything right, and I just need to make sure everything's okay, because again, their websites are painful.
Mm-hmm.
So it does take some time to do that. So making sure that you are setting aside some time on your plate to actually like sit down and make sure you are being compliant and following all the rules.
Yeah. So now that Abby's talked about all the sexy parts of
super sexy.
hiring somebody, this is what you can expect after you hire. The first thing is you are going to grow, and you are most likely going to grow very fast. Like, very fast. And now
Do it right.
If you do it right, right? And so I'm not going to say that everybody's going to grow fast, because I don't want to make false promises here. But we have been, ever since we've hired this team, we have been growing way faster than we have any of the years of our business. And
if you think about it too, it's not a shock, because you are stepping into your C-level role, which is to grow the business.
Yes.
So,
yes. And if you have the right team and the right
Yep.
tools set up, you are setting yourself up for success. I have to say, when we decided to start doing websites again, I was a little hesitant and a little nervous, only because
you weren't the only one.
The process that we had not set in place, basically, did not work the year prior. And it was a very big burnout situation. It was like a point in Duo's business life that really suffered. And so we were scared. We were scared. And then as soon as we did all of that legwork up front, hired the exact right person for that role, Laura, we have been growing really, really fast. We have multiple website projects that we kicked off almost immediately, and everything has been going really, really great. And our clients have been very happy. Yeah. And it has just been such a breath of fresh air. And one of those things where we were like, this is what we needed to do. And we feel really, really great about it. The second thing, hiring gives you more clarity on your own role, and it really allows you to step into being an owner. Like Abby just said, we are able to step into our roles and do the things that we need to do as CEOs of this business. And our team is doing all of this great foundational work and helping us build our clientele, helping us build our offers, and helping us do the day-to-day things that we don't necessarily have to be involved in anymore. So we can really step into our role and think about how we want to grow Duo, do all the strategic parts of it, actually be growing our business while they're doing the things that we used to constantly do until we felt burnout, until we got to a place where we literally could not do any more, which stalled our business and we weren't able to grow. But now that we have a team, we're able to grow. And like we just said, we are growing really fast and it's exciting.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, remembering that you're a manager now. I think that's a really big shift for a lot of people. Abby and I came from the agency world where we were both managers of small teams, so we kind of knew what that title and that role was like. But if this is something that you've never done, it could be kind of a shift. And I'm not going to say it's fun, it's hard, it's kind of all of the things.
Yeah.
And it's a very important job, especially in the client service world, because you need to make sure that your team is happy, that things are running efficiently, that they're getting the things done on time, that they're feeling good about the work, that they've got clarity within what they're doing. And it's a really big role and you can't just like put it off, right? It's a job that you have to keep doing. It's ongoing. You have to make sure that things are moving, your team is happy, and you're happy, and the business is growing.
Yeah. You're not hiring a workhorse. You're not hiring a robot. You are hiring a human being to join your team that complements you and also brings greatness, I guess, just into your business. And I think that is, you have to remember that, because if you're just hiring, if you're so overwhelmed and so overworked and you're just hiring someone and just expecting them to figure it out and fix everything for you, like, you're likely going to be disappointed, and so is that other person.
Yeah.
And we have to have these expectations of, we're hiring someone, bringing them into our team. We're going to nurture them and help them grow. And we want to know, like, we truly want to know from our employees what it is that they want out of their work with us. Like, where do they want to be in 5 years, and how can we help them get there, even if it's not staying with Duo? Like, we want to truly help them grow as a human being, and you have to have that mindset, because that's who you're hiring. Like, you are hiring a human that you now have the opportunity to train and grow and learn from, and that is really important. And you want to create that like collaborative team environment. And that should be more important than making a client happy.
Absolutely, 100%. Every day, every minute, every moment, it's all about your team.
So if you have recently hired, we would love to know what you wish you knew. So please drop us a message on Instagram or comment in the show notes inside this blog and let us know, because I am sure, have just scratched the surface and there's so much more to learn. So good luck to all of you in your first hire. Get after it.
If you like this episode, please be sure to share it with a friend and subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes dropping every Monday. Plus, if you haven't already, please go ahead and leave us a review, and don't hesitate to share any new episode ideas. We absolutely love hearing from you and creating this content for you. See you next week.